Hey there guys, this is Xavier Lee, and if you've not seen my videos or this channel yet, welcome. I hope you subscribe so you don't miss my content. I have everything from vlogging vids to how-tos like this to music videos, so I hope to see you, and I hope that you enjoy this video and the many more I'm going to make. But anyways, the subject of this video is how I shipped my pets, my 3 dogs, to another country. Specifically for me, I sent my pets to South Korea. And if you've watched the channel before, you'll know that I have 3 small dogs. And I was already at a disadvantage because most people are sending about 1 to 2 pets, gerbils, dogs, cats, whatever. But anyways, I'm going ahead of myself. Let me backtrack. So the first thing that happened is my company, or like whoever purchased my ticket to go to South Korea, I had to call that carrier. I'm not going to say their name because I don't want to, drag their name through the mud. But anyways, I talked to them, and the first thing they told me is they're like, well, we have a new policy, and it came out not that long ago. I'm like, what's this new policy? And they're like, well, you cannot ship your pets by yourself. And I was like, what? Excuse me? And they're like, nope, you have to use an international shipper. And I was like, oh, that's splendid. So let me talk to one of these international shippers. So I called these guys, and they quoted me $5,000. And I was like, no. And I was like, give me a better price here, guys. And they're like, okay, we'll give you a discount. We'll give you $3,000. I'm like, no, not $3,000. Give me a better price. And they're like, okay, 2,000, but you do everything by yourself. And I'm like, what's the? So before I even get into that, I don't know if you're familiar with international shipper, but basically what they do is they do all the tests for your pet, all the paperwork. They figure out the requirements. This phone's getting heavy because I've recorded this multiple times. But they do all the paperwork. They figure out what tests you need for that country, what shots you need, and they do all of that for you. They even pick your pet up or your pets up at the door. They take them to the airport, and someone picks them up at the airport in the other country. So they're actually pretty legit, but they're hellaciously expensive. And that's one of the major reasons I'm making this video, because you can do it by yourself. You do not need them. I'm going to explain how. So anyways, they're giving me these crazy prices, and in the end, they're like, okay, we'll just help you out. And you know what? I was just like, I'm done with this. I'm just going to do this myself. So this is how I did it. Basically, this is what you do. I called United, and I asked them how much it would cost for me to ship my pets separately. And basically, they have this tier depending on the weight. And for me altogether, it came out, I'm scared to say this is going to drop some people's jaws, but it cost me about $2,000 for every single part of this trip, which is much better than $5,000. And that's for 3 dogs, so I don't think that's that bad. And before I say that, I sent my dogs as cargo, so if you fly with your dogs and you have like 2 dogs, it's not going to cost that much. I think it's like $200 a dog, so it's even cheaper if you go with the dogs. I went unaccompanied, so if you want to find out the requirements for that country, just talk to United and they'll tell you, and also your vet will know as well. They'll have a list of things they have to do. You can even check on the internet, because you're trying to get the shots and a test ready for your pets so they don't get quarantined or turned away at the airport, and that's like the worst thing ever. So anyways, once I called them and got the requirements, I wrote all that down, and then I visited my vet, and I got the shots required, I got the tests required, and I would tell you in detail what I got, but my requirements for South Korea are going to be different from your requirements. So I don't want to like lead you astray and give you the wrong information. You'll have to call your vet and talk to United about that, or whoever you decide to talk to. You might even want to do the international shipper route. So anyways, in my case, I took my dogs to the vet, and then I went on vacation, and luckily I had a friend who watched my dogs for me. It was kind of a pain for them because, my dogs they have growing pains and they were kind of like peeing where they wanted to. I don't want to get into too much detail, but it kind of sucked, but it got better near the end. Picked my dogs back up, and then here's the important part, your health certificate. So around, I think it's 10 days before you go or before you ship your dogs to other country, you want to get a health certificate, a USDA health certificate, and it's that 10-day window that you need and they need. And if you don't do that, then they can quarantine your dogs at the country if they even like allow your dogs to be shipped there in the first place. So just make sure right before you go, that's when you're getting your medical certificate, and just keep that in mind. Your vet will probably tell you that already. United knows that already. And so I got that, and then the fun part came. I had to ship my pets. So I had every single thing done, all the requirements done, and you know what, people? It wasn't that hard. And that's the main point I'm trying to make. It was not difficult. You can do this on your own. You don't need an international shipper to do this for you unless you're so strapped for like time, or I wouldn't say cash because it's more expensive, but if you're strapped for time and you don't have a vehicle to transport your dogs or your cats or whatever you got around, but you can totally do this by yourself. And then the other key to this is that you have to have someone in the country, if you're shipping them alone, to pick them up. And then I got lucky kind of with this. So I had a friend that was in South Korea already who picked up my pets for me. So before I get into that, the day before, or that day, I drove all the way to another state.
Ben, what's wrong with you? He gets stressed out real easy.
I rented a car, drove all the way to another state with my dogs, and it was like the biggest nightmare. So we drove them all the way. Me and my wife drove with the dogs all the way to Maryland, and there's only specific places where you can ship your pets from. And the big issue was that if the tarmac is a certain temperature, I believe it's like 80, 85 degrees, they won't ship your pets, and they have to wait till the next day, and that might cost you out of pocket. I'm not exactly sure, but it might cost you. So we got there, and luckily it was a short line. And then there's a certain way that you gotta put your medical records on that kennel. The kennel has to be a certain size. There has to be enough room for the dog to move around, and there has to be like 3 inches above his head. And it's like all these crazy requirements, and you have to put a little bit of, you can put a little bit of dog food on top of that cage. But in the end, it all worked out. And then like the biggest hassle I had is like right in the middle of me sending my pets. And if you like watch this video here, you'll see that I'm kind of upset. And the reason why is that I had already paid like, I don't know, $1,500 at that point. And then all of a sudden the guy's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir." I'm like, what now? And he's like, "Do you want to tell you about the pet hotel?" I'm like, "No, please tell me about the pet hotel. Please enlighten me about the pet hotel." So apparently whenever there's a layover and your dog's going to be staying over a little bit before they fly off, and in my case it was like 4-hour layover, you have to pay for them to walk your dogs and keep them in a kennel, like the pet hotel is what they call it. So that cost me an extra $350. Was not happy about it, but at that point I had already gotten that far, so why the hell not? So anyways, I shipped my pets off. I left them in the kennels. I felt kind of bad because, kennels are kind of small, but the great thing is that you can track where your dogs are using like different websites. In my case, I use Flight Tracker, and I could see exactly where the pets were. And you want to give the flight number and the confirmation number of your trip to whoever's receiving your dogs, so they can see where the dogs are at when they're going to arrive. And basically all they need when they pick up the dogs are like an ID or something. And another thing that I wanted to let you guys know as a little tip is that once they get to the port, you're going to have to pay a little bit more for them to process through that. And they can hold your dogs if they're like not microchipped and all the other little crazy requirements that each country has. So just be warned ahead of time that you might pay more once they get to the port. So my friend got the pets, and then we ran into another dilemma. He's like, "I got your pets. We had a little issue at the port, but I got them. They're safe. They're healthy." I'm like, "Woohoo, woohoo!" And then he's like, "But soon as you get here to Korea, you have to pick them up." I'm like, "I'm not arriving till like 12. He's like, I'm sorry. It is what it is. So I fly all the way to South Korea. Me and my wife are stupid tired, you know, because of the time difference. And then we just get to the hotel and we had to pick up our dogs. And luckily, we got a hotel with a pet room. And I'm telling you, like, everything was like down to the minute, to the second. And it was one of the most stressful situations I ever had. I shouldn't be complaining too much because I have 3 dogs, and I'm sure that if you plan on shipping your dogs, it won't be that bad, but just be warned ahead of time. Sending your pets is a hassle, is very difficult, but the thing is, if you have to use an international shipper, go ahead and use it, but you're gonna be paying triple what you can pay, or maybe even more than shipping yourself. And in my case, I had to ship them separately, but if you ship them, if you travel with your pets, more than likely you're only paying about $200 to $300 a dog. So just, try to be self-sufficient, try to do it on your own. It's a small list of requirements that you have to do. And you can start by talking to United or whatever carrier you're going to be flying with. I did it. You can do it too. It's not impossible, and it's difficult, but it's not that difficult. If you had any horror stories or you have any tips to add to this, please leave it on the bottom below. I'd love to see them. I'm sure the viewers of this video would love to see them too. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe and share. And I hope you watch my next video. Thanks for watching. Say bye-bye, Ben. Bye-bye. Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. Oh, you don't want to kiss me? Okay.